Lord Fussington's walkthrough of the critically acclaimed game Demon's Souls. I'm your walkthrough master, Lord Fussington, and this is part 1 of Pure Black World Tendency Events, as you well know because that's the title of the video. As you can see on the screen with your eyes right now are the worlds and their tendencies. 3 of those worlds are still at Pure White World Tendency, one of those worlds, and by one I actually mean 2 of those worlds are at neutral. The 2 worlds, of course, being Boletarian Palace and Shrine of Storms, because I killed Executioner Miralda and Satsuki, both of which were in body form. They only appear in Pure White World Tendency, and killing them does affect World Tendency by -3. And that's why they're at neutral, right? So I was at +3, then -3, which would mean I'm at neutral. Also, they don't affect character tendency, that's why I killed them. And they also attacked me. So anyway, there's plenty of reasons, and they're fine. So, right, I guess I should talk about... by the way, I'm not going to really talk about White World Tendency, because there are videos for that. I did those videos a little while back. They're called, Pure White World Tendency Events. Sort of like this, but instead of black, they're white. And, there's part... anyway, they're on my channel. The channel being TheLordFussington, of course. The channel that you're, that you're sort of on now. Well, you're on the video, you may not. Anyway, none of this is really relevant. What you just saw, other than Sage Freke, you've also seen me just commit suicide. Or rather, my character. I'm not committing suicide, or else I wouldn't be talking. But my character just jumped off a cliff. To accumulate Black World Tendency, you can die in body form in any given world, and that will accumulate Black World Tendency. It's worth -1 each death. Remember, it has to be in body form. Soul form has no effect. So you've got to look at... so if you want to accumulate Black World Tendency, look at what your world tendency currently is, and again, I'm only talking about world tendency right now, not character tendency. But look at what your world tendency is, and then grab some stone of ephemeral eyes, some stones of it, because just one wouldn't work unless you're at a shade less than pure black. But so I was at neutral here, right? So to accumulate pure Black World Tendency, I have to lose 4 points, essentially. I guess I'll go through the point system again, right? I look at World Tendency as a point system, right? So when you start the game, you're at neutral. To get to pure White World Tendency, so neutral being 0 points. To get to pure White World Tendency, you have to gain 3 points. To get to pure Black World Tendency for neutral, you have to lose 4 points. Hence, +3, hence -3, respectively, right? So, say you're at pure White World Tendency. To get to pure Black World Tendency, you have to lose 7 points. If you're at pure Black World Tendency, and you want to get to pure White World Tendency, you have to gain 7 points. So it's very simple, right? And there are methods to do that. If you want to know the way to accumulate pure White World Tendency, check out my videos. They're fantastic. Well, they're a little bit shit, but they're fantastic. If you want to accumulate pure Black World Tendency, one of the ways to do that is to commit suicide in body form in any given world, right? And that's worth -1. So if you're at neutral and you want to get to pure Black World Tendency, you have to die 4 times in body form in that world. So as you can just see now, I've basically consumed stones of ephemeral eyes, right? 4 of them. Well, in each run. So, in total 4. And then I jumped off a cliff in this world. Right, and I had to do that 4 times to get pure Black World Tendency because I was at neutral. So it isn't really complicated. Right, you just need a lot of stones of ephemeral eyes, but by the end of the game you should have enough for each world. So that is the easiest way to do it, essentially. The other way, well, for Boletarian Palace, you can kill old King Doran. He's worth -2, so you can see now that's pure Black World Tendency. You have to return to the Nexus to see the result. Okay, so that's pure black world tendency for Boletarian Palace. So you go to a world. First, you got to check what the world tendency is. You go to a world, you consume a stone of ephemeral eyes. Then you get killed in that world, either jumping off a cliff or getting killed by enemies, and you'll have accumulated -1. So you've accumulated some black world tendency, right? And it's really that simple. And then you'll respawn near Excalibur, and then you take another stone of ephemeral eyes, commit suicide again, then you'll respawn, another stone, commit suicide again, then you'll respawn, and so on until you've accumulated as much black world tendency as you want. Okay, that's the easiest way, because there are a lot of stones of ephemeral eyes, and committing suicide isn't, in the worlds isn't particularly difficult. The other way to accumulate black world tendency, of course, is to kill uniquely named body form NPCs or whatever, right? So Executioner Miralda and Skirver and all those guys. Although 3 of them do affect character tendency, which I'm quickly mentioned in the beginning of the video, and that's why those worlds are still pure white world tendency. I didn't actually kill them, so I only killed Executioner Miralda and Satsuki. So this is another place, 2-1. So I needed to kill myself 7 times, right? Because I was a pure white world tendency. So that's 7 stones of ephemeral eyes and 7 suicides, right? Oh, remember, it has to be in body form. I fast forwarded though. I deleted the 6 additional. You just saw 1 essentially, because I'm showing 1 so you can see the location, and then, or the location I use, and then just cutting the rest out because there's no point in watching the same. There's not really any technique to it. You just have to jump off the cliff. So I didn't feel as though it was important. Plus, the video will be absurdly long, and it's long enough, frankly. 30-minute video of my voice. I mean, there's a reason I never listened to these back. So you want to head over to 3-2. Although I did show all 4 suicides in Boletarian Palace, right? Just to give you an idea. If I was a pure white world tendency there, though, I would have had to commit 7. I only had to commit 4 because I was a neutral. I know I'm repeating what I've said, but just so it's clear. It's just for clarity, because I want to be clear rather than, it's not because I'm redundant. It's because I want to be clear. So this is another place, right? I have a pure white world tendency here, so I've got to revive 7 times and commit suicide 7 times. So that's just 1 time, and then I do it 6 additional times, but you won't get to see that because I edited it out, right? But I do show the current tendency, world tendency, that is. Oh, look, the Monumental with his little hat. Looks like porcelain. Right, so took 7 times. So 7 for Tower of Latria, 7 for Stonefang Tunnel, 4 for Boletarian Palace. So Shrine of Storms is at neutral right now, right? Which means I've only have to die 4 times in body form. And it's always the same. It's always the same thing. Stone of Ephemeral Eyes, commit suicide in the world, then respawn near Excalibur, and then take another Stone of Ephemeral Eyes, jump off a cliff, respawn, then take another Stone of Ephemeral Eyes, and see how boring it is me saying that over and over again? Well, it's the same thing if you had the visual representation, and that's why it's not there. Well, that was some I just noticed that's actually some pretty great editing, but if you pay attention you can actually see, like, around Excalibur, how the balls don't match up the little spheres that are, or maybe they're souls, I have no idea. What happened here is it glitched. I had to kill myself 4 times, right? Well, the first time I did it, so I jumped off, and then I just fell for like a good 30 seconds, right? Which is obviously a glitch, right? And anyway, eventually I died, hence it being 30 seconds, and then respawned. Then I respawned at 4-2, right? So then I did it again. This time going into the tunnel where the grave robber is, and then running off. And then I died immediately, pretty much, right? And then I respawned in 4-1. So I had to go back to Nexus, then do the same thing, then go back to 4-2. That worked out. Then I respawned in 4-2, and then I jumped off again, respawned in 4-1. So what you saw there is like the third one, the third death I took. Or maybe it's the fourth. Anyway, there's some sort of little bit of editing there because it was messy. You don't have to commit suicide in 4-1. You can do it in 4-3 or 4-4. So yeah, there's cliffs near the Flying Manta Rays, right? Or you can just get killed by the manta rays. So that was so I had to do that 4 times. That's you don't have to use the same locations. These are just the locations I've used, and that was actually one of the first times that it's been that messy. So I don't know why. So this was another. There wasn't a glitch here, but this is another location that I tend to use. So 5-2, you just run off that sort of waterfall, and I had to do that 7 times, of course, because I was at pure white world tendency. So now I'm at pure black world tendency in all the worlds, and that's what that looks like. I know Boletarian Palace and Valley of Defilement don't look pure black, but they are because the Black Phantom uniquely named NPCs do spawn. So that was essentially the test, and that's what that looks like. So not really complicated at all. What else is there? Pure black world tendency does affect the enemies and stuff. So the enemies are stronger, so they've got more health, and they've got a better defense. They hit harder, but they're worth more souls, and the items they drop, like the drop rate for rare items, is increased. So for not the drop rate, just the general drop rate, it's not increased. It's the drop rate for rare items. So the chance of you getting a rare item is higher, essentially. And what else is there? Also, I didn't mention this, but oh yeah, there are a lot of black phantoms that show up. I'm not really going to go through them all, because most of them aren't important. So I will go and show you the Black Phantom uniquely named NPCs. Okay. So I'll go fight Executioner Miralda in Black Phantom form, for instance. That's what I'm doing now, right? I will go get the Primeval Demon. I'll go fight him and get the colorless demon soul. However, I won't necessarily search for all of the Black Phantoms that show up, and Black Phantoms like the Fat Ministers. In this video, yeah, it's there, but I mean, it won't be. Not all the videos. Like in Stonefang Tunnel, there's a couple respawn. A couple spawn, and I won't be finding them because it's pointless, really. They do guarantee you a drop, but it's not necessarily a drop you need to farm. The only one really that's worth farming, and even that's arguable because he's not what dropped the pure blade stone. Of course, I'm talking about the Black Phantom with the dual katana. So that Black Phantom, Black Skeleton thing or whatever, the guy I farmed after the Reaper a lot, right? There was that farming point where you kill the Reaper, then you go kill the black skeleton that's hidden behind the wall. Well, a black phantom spawns. A black phantom version of that enemy spawns, and you can farm him for a pure bladestone. But frankly, I got the pure bladestone farming the regular black skeleton when my world tendency was pure black. So, you know, but apparently he also drops. There's a high chance of getting that from him as well. Whatever. I mean, I've farmed both of them for long periods of time, and one of them was fruitless. But anyway, we're not even in Shrine of Storm, so that entire monologue was slightly pointless. So she's more difficult, but that's because she's a black phantom and we're in pure black world tendency, and it's a disaster. Right, the named NPCs only show up, like the black phantom named NPCs. They only show up in pure black world tendency. The Primeval Demons show up a shade less than pure black world tendency. So that means, so the black phantom named NPCs show up -4. The Primeval Demons show up in -3, which is just black, right? I should also point out that black phantom enemies, so the ones that take on the forms of just regular enemies, like fat ministers. So black phantom fat ministers, for instance, show up in -3 as well. I think all that is correct. Sure, someone will correct me if I'm incorrect. Which would be sort of funny, because this was the exact sort of location as the last correction. But yeah, that is all correct. So I suggest with her is, I mean, homing soul arrow just destroys her really quickly. Whenever you're fighting these black phantoms named NPCs, they can be pretty difficult because they hit really hard and they have a high defense and a lot of health. So I suggest running with second chance always. And if you don't have to fight the melee, don't bother. Magic works really well. So at least from what like with my mage, I found it a lot easier than doing it with this character who's supposed to be strength based, but you know, I'm not even using the right. You know, I'm not even using the Dragon Bone Smasher. Well, because I figure people will use, you know, first playthrough, you're probably gonna end up using a shield and a sword or whatever. Or maybe not, I don't know. I just figure you can see the movement patterns and stuff a little bit better like this. And when to block and when to roll, and although I always mistime everything because I'm rather shit. So that's it for her. She gives you the she drops the guillotine axe, which is a weapon I quite like. And I remember it being a pretty popular weapon in PvP back in the day. Killing her does affect world tendency by +3. Yeah. So right. So killing the named NPCs when they're in body form affects the worlds by -3. Killing them in Black Phantom form, when they're in Black Phantom form, affects the worlds by +3. It does affect character tendency as well by +1. So this is one of the ways to accumulate white character tendency as well. So it's all positive if you kill Black Phantoms as usual. Although if you kill enemy Black Phantoms, like Black Phantom form, well, you know this, but Black Phantoms that have taken an enemy's form, killing them doesn't affect anything. They've got to be named NPCs. So what am I doing now? Well, now we've got to go get the Primeval Demon, right? So he's quite far actually, and you can't. I should point out though that you can't leave. Don't leave the world. If you kill, see, I've just killed Black Phantom Executioner Miralda, right? So technically, I am at -1. Right, I was at -4 for this world in terms of tendency, and now I'm at -1. So if I leave the world and go back to the Nexus, and look at my world tendencies, I'll be at -1. And the effect only occurs when you leave. Okay, so that means I won't have. So that means I'd have to accumulate black world tendency again, like so at least -3 for the Primeval Demon to appear. So you don't want to do that. Generally, you want to just stay in the actual world, kill the Black Phantom and the Primeval Demon, unless you're like all in one shot. So that means you have to usually run through the level. Unless you don't mind consuming more stones of ephemeral eyes or whatever to get back to whatever tendency, black tendency you need. I thought there were actually black phantoms here that took the blue-eyed knight form. I guess not. Maybe my memory's a bit off. But anyway, there are. I'm pretty sure there's somewhere in this world. But anyway, it's not really important. Really, what is important? The uniquely named NPCs, right? The Primeval Demons, and that one. Oh, you know who? That one katana-wielding Black Phantom thing. He's fairly important. The other important one, though, or ones actually, are the giant depraved ones. In Black Phantom form, they drop stones of ephemeral eyes. So they're frequently. So those are the ones there. They're quite well worth farming. If you are going to farm, don't kill the Primeval Demon and Black Phantom, whatever uniquely named NPC quite yet. You want to farm first, and then when you're done farming, just so that you can go back from the next end back to the world without worrying about world tendency. Because once you're at -7, the only thing that's going to shift that is killing a Primeval Demon or a boss or what else is there? Primeval Demon, boss, or a Black Phantom uniquely named NPC. So those are generally the only thing, or some online bullshit. But usually, well, at least the way I do it, there's not. There aren't any bosses left except for the False King. Oh, if there's a dragon as well. But anyway, generally you don't have to. Do I get it? Not even. What a loser. So these three are really just owning my ass right now, and they're not even Black Phantoms, which is hilarious. So he's gone. Not that it really. Also, this is a good time to farm those as well, because chance of them dropping chunks or pures are higher. Since they're rare items. Okay, so the Primeval Demon is. So I think I was saying something about staying in the. So you want to stay in the world when you're doing these things, right? If you're gonna kill the Primeval Demon and the Black Phantom. So if you kill one, you probably should go kill the other. And just what it is. World tendencies is one of those things where you have to plan. Like, regardless if it's white or black or whatever, you've got to plan. And that's why people don't necessarily like it, because they can't be bothered. But it's not complicated and it's not difficult. Well, generally. So here's one of the, oh fuck. Oh yeah, I remember this now. So that's one of the, well, two of them actually. And so they spawn in black world tendency. So that's what those sort of enemies look like. Killing them doesn't affect your world tendency, so and they will drop an item. Probably full moongrass, although I guess we'll see once I kill them. So there wasn't any reason to go here. I guess at the time I wanted to just show you an example of, you know, an event, one of these events that I don't find important. If you do, you know, I will list the locations of these enemies in the description box, but I won't personally go find each one in every world, just because it's unnecessarily time consuming. And well, some of them are, because you don't actually go in those paths. Some of them you do want to farm. I don't think there's any reason to farm these guys. I think they drop their axe sometimes, but whatever. You know, that axe can be found. Is it a great axe? I don't actually know what it is, come to think of it. Check what that is. Right, but farming wise, you want to farm before you go kill you know, anything that'll affect your world tendency. Just because it's easier. It's just sort of organization and maintaining a control over everything and all that. And you don't, yeah. And if you keep clear of these the whatever affects your world tendency, then you know you can keep farming for a long time. I mean, that's what I did with the Black Phantom katana dual wielding whatever. Right, the crescent axe is what he can drop. That's the rare drop. So if you're looking for a crescent axe, well, you know, there's a higher chance of him dropping it when he's a Black Phantom. Probably a higher chance of the regular ones dropping as well if you're in pure black world tendency. What a headshot. New moongrass, great, good, fantastic. Also Primeval Demons, by the way, these enemies will respawn. So if you come back, so say I hadn't killed Executioner Miralda, and I wouldn't kill the Primeval Demons. Say I just killed these two, and so then came back. Remember, it's all still pure black world tendency. They'll respawn. And that's how you basically farm the enemies, right? Unlike the Primeval Demon, the Primeval Demons and the uniquely named Black Phantoms, they won't. Once you kill them once, they won't return. So beware. Be aware, just kill them. I mean, it's not really complicated. You don't really have to be aware of anything. You know, it's, I don't know why I just got angry at myself. Well. So, should I talk about strategy with these guys? I don't think so. I don't think it's really necessary. I just try to backstab. You know, and you know, backstabbing is it's a really tough thing to do. Because you have to get behind the enemy and stab, and they're all really slow, and that's what makes it quite difficult. New moongrass, great. What was that accent? I don't even know. Okay. So here's the Primeval Demon. Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous. So it's basic. It's not gonna hurt you, but you still want to stab it in its. You know, I don't know what it is. I never really took a good look at it either. If you go to the front though, it will bite you. It's bitten me. It doesn't do very much damage, so. Okay, I think that's it for this video. I don't think I don't do Stonefang Tunnel in this video. So I think everything's quite clear. I will oh, look at this disaster. Anyway, I will reiterate what I've said in the description box. It's better to just kill them all rather than do what I just did. or just run around them instead of try to go run through them. It's just a bad idea. And anyway, so I will reiterate what I said in the description box, of course. If there are any errors, of course, you should point them out in the comments, because then I can mention it in the description box. The next video will be part 2 of Pure Black World Tendency Events, which is an unbelievable title, and who would have thought that after part 1 comes part 2, and it will be Stonefang Tunnel and the Tower of Latria. Those are the places there. So that's Patches of the Hyena. I've been Lord Fussington. Thank you very much for watching.